Chapter 1 Student. This episode is brought you by Audertist.com. It started like every other day, that is, if you ignore the moving process that my family was currently doing. At this point, we have moved so much that it wasn't anything unusual. We moved every other year, or maybe if I'm lucky, we get to stay a year longer. But this never lasts, as we always move. Publicly, the reason for our move is my father's work. He's a lawyer, so the excuse works for the most part, saying we need to move for a case. But the truth was much different from that. It was actually the deepest secret of my family, something that the public could never know. We were a coven. If you're not aware of what that means, it basically means my family and I are all witches. Usually, a coven would have around 13 witches in it, but my family was different. We branched off from the original coven when my mother met my father, forming a coven of our own. We now only consist of our family in a coven of 6, myself included, that is. Yep, that's right. I'm a witch. A young witch, to be exact, with my powers just recently starting to grow stronger. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let's start with introductions. My name is Aurora Fay, with Fay being my family name and also the name of the coven. My name is quite the mouthful, so I usually just go by Aurora. While I would love to introduce you to my parents and other family members, that would need to wait for after. Today is actually my first day of college in this new town, and I have to reach it rather early so that I don't miss my first class. Setting off, it took me no longer than 20 minutes to reach the school by car. My father gave me a drop since it was on the way to his new office. I looked up at the sign that decorated the large gateway at the entrance of the college ground, and written there in bold words for all to see was the name of the college, Riverwood College. What an original name. I thought to myself, as I find it amusing how they named the only college in the town after the name of the town as well. It's not like it matters though. When you've gone through as many schools as I have, they all start to blend eventually. Names stop to matter when you only need to remember them for a year or two, so a simple name is always appreciated. Smiling at the thought, I walked onto the campus ground, heading towards the large building in the distance to get my class schedule and start this new life for a while. The way to the building was empty of students. I could only assume this was the case because it was already rather late into the morning and the first set of classes had already started. This only made it easier for me to get to the building and enter it. As soon as I entered, I was blasted with the cold air of the air-conditioned interior of the building. It was quite refreshing compared to the heat of the sun from outside, and it helped cool my body under the long-sleeved clothing I was wearing. I did forget to mention what I was wearing, but that's only because I didn't think it was important. If you really wish to know what I have on, I will tell you. I wore a long-sleeved black shirt that covered my arms and neck, along with black jeans to cover my legs. They were plain without much to explain because I didn't have time to get all dressed up. I enjoyed wearing long clothing for multiple reasons, but the most important one being to hide the tattoos on my arms and legs. Marks that were important for witchery, along with the marking of the coven. Every witch had them. Now back to where I was originally, walking down the neat white hallways of the college building and heading towards the area that was supposed to be the office. Approaching the door, I read the sign on it that confirmed my thoughts that this was indeed the office. Entering with a knock on the door, I was met with a room with a desk at the center and 2 doors to the side. The doors didn't matter for now. All I needed was the desk, or to be more exact, the person behind the desk. Hello there, I'm the new transfer student. I was told to come here in order to collect my papers? I asked as I walked closer to the table, making eye contact with the old receptionist that sat behind the desk. You must be Aurora Fay. Yes, I was told you would be transferring today. You're a bit late for the start of classes, but that's fine, you can just join it now. The lady said in reply to my question as she searched through her desk drawer. She took out a set of papers and a small book, handing it over the desk for me to take, which I did. This is your schedule along with your student handbook. Keep them safe because you will need to pay for a new one if it is lost or damaged. I nod in response to the lady's warning, putting the paper inside the book so that it doesn't get lost. After saying my thanks and goodbye to the receptionist, I walked out of the office. Let's see what class I have first, I said as I opened the book to where I stored the paper, skimming through it to see what classes I had for the day. Maths for the first period, that's rough, I said with a sigh as I saw the first subject for Monday was maths. I wasn't bad at maths, I actually do quite well in school with straight A's or B's. That doesn't change my opinion on maths though, it sucks. Putting my dislike for the subject aside, I skimmed the student handbook in search of a campus map so I can find my way to the classroom. I found one at the back of the book, which helped me find my way to the classroom. Thankfully the classroom wasn't too far, so I was able to reach there in under a few minutes. I didn't have any of my books yet since I just moved here, but sitting in on the class would be better than skipping the first day. Stopping at the door of the classroom, I motioned inside for the professor to see me. I didn't want to just walk in while they were teaching the class because that would just be rude. So calling them to the door, I explained my situation to them. He took it pretty well with a nod and a welcome message, telling me to join him inside to introduce myself to the class. This was the part I disliked the most about transferring to a new school. It drew the attention of everyone in the classroom and always made me feel so awkward. After all the times I've done it, it has become more bearable, but it's still annoying. Class today we have a new transfer student from out of town. I knew it's the middle of the semester, and we don't usually do introductions like this, but you all already had a chance to get close to each other while she hasn't. So give her a chance to introduce herself, said the professor as I walked into the classroom and onto the platform. The eyes of all the students in the classroom were drawn to me, some watching with interest, others watching simply because they had nothing to do, while others had their thoughts hidden from their faces. None of this mattered to me since I barely looked up at them. My name is Aurora Fay. I recently moved to town because of my father's work. I don't know a lot about the town or campus, so I would love to get along with you all, I said my pre-planned introduction, not mentioning my middle name because it was too long. As I finished speaking and made my way to an empty spot to take a seat, the eyes of some of the more daring students still lingered on me. Especially some of the males, which I expected. Now I'm not one to boast about my looks, but I am quite good looking. I won't say I am hotter than most models or anything, but my waist-long black hair along with my dull purple eyes naturally attracted attention. Combining that with my silky smooth skin and naturally beautiful face, I got quite the attention from people wherever I went. This wasn't unique to me either. All witches had naturally good looks. It was so we could better convince people to do what we wanted, but I just find it to be an attention grab. Ignoring the looks and mumbling of students as I passed them, I took a seat at the back of the classroom where I could see fine, while also not being close to the center of attention. The class flew by quickly. An hour of class was nothing when you weren't paying attention, to begin with. Once class ended, I quickly tried to get up and get out, but they were faster. I was quickly surrounded by a group of around 3 girls that were throwing questions at me from all angles. It was clear they were the noisy group in the class because the other students that wanted to come all backed away when they got there. Where are you from? What's your father's job? Do you have a boyfriend? They all started to throw around questions without giving me any chance to answer any of them. By now I was quite used to this from all the schools I've been to, but it was still bothersome each time. Can you please give me some space? I said to the group as I stood up in an attempt to get away. This usually worked with getting them to leave me alone. Putting on the antisocial front was useful at times. How about we show you around? We'll show you all the cool places you can visit on the campus. Oh, my name is Becky, by the way, said the frontal girl with blonde hair. That seemed to be the leader of the group. Wow, another Becky, the amount I've met so far is astonishing. I thought to myself with an inner chuckle before simply nodding my head to them. Sure, I said with a smile, they may be loud but they could still be useful as tour guides.